Assalamualaikum to Madam Aina Khadija. My name is Putri Emilia. I'm from class 4H and I will be presenting about my mobile game, which is memory game. First, we'll be talking about the project background of my game. The memory game card is a popular children's game that involves a set of cards. The playing cards include pictures on one side, with each image appearing 2 or sometimes 4 cards. A deck of cards is then delivered to the players face down. Each contains a hidden set that matches the others. The goal is to find all of the matching pairs by flipping over 2 cards at a time. If the cards do not match, they are turned face down again. Next is the problem statement. The traditional version of the game is quite inconvenient and tedious as it repeats the same actions throughout the game, and it needs physical items like the card able to play this game. Sometimes the cards can be damaged or get lost, so that could be another reason why this game is very inconvenient to play physically. The second is the physical game is very unengaging or interactive to play, especially if you play alone, since there is no sound effects or animation or visual cues to sustain the player's interest. The third one is you have to manually do the processes in the game, whether it is to count your scores or to turn the cards back down or to shuffle through the cards. This is a very troublesome thing because you are prone to human errors, especially in calculations where there could be a miscalculations or someone could cheat and purposely miscalculate your score. So the objective of my game is to enhance the game by automating the mechanics of the game, whether it is shuffling the cards or laying back the cards, turning the cards, or calculations. It will be done automatically by the system. This will make sure that the game is not repetitive for the player and it is not prone to errors. Second is to make this game accessible by digitizing it so that you can play it on your mobile gadgets. This is much more efficient rather than playing it physically with a deck of cards, since you can't lose the cards and the cards cannot be damaged. Third is to contain the gameplay with interactive and attractive elements. Like I said just now, the physical one does not have any visual cues, soundtracks, or sound effects. I want to incorporate that in my gameplay. Lastly is the impact and significance of my mobile game. So the first, it is suitable for all ages, since it reduces stress. It is a fun and engaging game. It is a challenging game, yet it is still simple. It is not a complex game. You can play it anywhere at any time. So it is suitable for children, for adults, or for elderly. It doesn't really matter. So the second one, it improves cognitive function. This is because the game uses strategic thinking and it challenges your memory to remember the positions of the exact cards. So this is a very good game for improving your mind power and to increase the player's concentration. Finally, this game is a great time filler. We should fill our leisure time beneficially, since time is a very expensive thing. This game is beneficial in a way. It not only eases your boredom, it reduces stress. It is very smart game in if you think about it, because it challenges your mind and it improves your concentration, and children can learn to identify the same pictures or the same colors, and it incorporates colorful pictures, so you won't get bored about it and your mind stay active. Okay, so now I'll show you my block codes and then I'll demonstrate to you my game.
So for this explanation, I'll show you the screen design on the left and the code block on the right. So first we have the home screen. In the home screen, I use a image, a button inside a table layout. I use a horizontal layout to add as a spacer, and then we have a label and a list box. Alright, now moving to the code block. So when the screen initializes, the name of my screen is screen 1. It will play a soundtrack, which you will listen later when I demonstrate the system. And then we have an initializer of local variable named name that is an empty list. The reason why I use a local variable is since I'm only going to be using it once in this function, it is much more suitable. Then we have a for each item in list. This is to iterate through the elements in the TinyDB. For TinyDB, I'll be storing the name of the highest score and their score, and then the name would be displayed in the list in the screen design here. And then we have a list block here to get the name and high score from the TinyDB and add it into the list. And then at the bottom here we have a set list, set highest list elements. This is to display the elements from the local variable that is keeping the name and highest score into the highest list box. Then we have the start button. So once you click the start button, it will transport you from this screen to the main screen, where the game functions and processes are at. Alright, and for the screen design of this game, I have a spacer using a horizontal arrangement, and then we have 4 labels. One is to display the text score and highest, and then the 0 labels are for to call in the score and highest score, either from the global variable or from TinyDB. And then we have a done button on the bottom when the player is satisfied with their game. And then right here you can see there is 12 buttons. This is later is going to be the cards for my game. Alright, let's start with the global variables. We have a high variable. This is to get the value from the TinyDB, the highest score. And then we have the highest text. This is to display later. And then we have the global first. This is for the first time you flip the cards. And then we have flip pairs, and then we have the global score, which will keep your tally score. And then we have your initialized global match for when you found the match pairs of cards, and initialized global card pick pairs. This is when you click on the button, and the second is for the second card flipped. Okay, let's go to the next section. For the screen initializer, there will be only one function called reset. Alright, now we'll go into the reset function or procedure. It's a bit long, so I will highlight you by section of which one I'm talking about. So first we have the set method, which will set the flip pairs, match, card pick pairs, and highest text, which is the text label that will display the current highest score. So flip pairs, match, and card pick will be reset to 0 or empty so that you can play the game again. Next, we'll go to the for each card in list procedure. This will store a list of all the card buttons. Then it will set the buttons height percentage, width percentage, text, and background image, the back side of the card, when it is supposedly laying face down. And it will make the cards able to be clicked. Then we are still in the for each card block. It will initialize a local variable called card2, which will store a list of all the cards buttons, and then it will have another for each block. There is two. One is pick with the list of 6 pictures. This will be the front side of the pictures that will have a pair each, and then inside of that is another for each block with the name numbers that will be set between 1 to 2 numbers. It will initialize a local variable called card, which will pick a random item in the list of cards 2. That would be the card button and the image for the front side of the button. And then it will remove the same cards and picture from the local variable. This is why in the beginning of the reset procedure, the card pick pairs is set back to empty list, so that when you restart the game, the list would be empty. And then we have a function called high score. This is to determine whether the current score is greater than the high score. So inside the function, we have an if-else operation with the condition if the score is greater than the high score, it will then set the high score to be the current score, and then it will display the score at the high score text or high score label at the bottom here. Else, the high score label will still display the best score from the database. This part of the code block is to call the flip function. So when you click a button, it will first play a player, and then it will call a function called flip that will receive an input of the button you click. As you call the flip procedure, it will receive the input of the click button and will do the following actions. First, it will set the front side image of the click button to the one in the cards pick pairs corresponding to the click button. So if you click the button 5, it will look through the list for button 5 and set the image that the system has picked up. And then when you have clicked the button, it will set the button enable to false so that you cannot click the flip button again. Then it will justify the conditions that I have set in it in an if-else statement. So the first is, if the global first variable is equal to -1, it will set the global first to the card that you clicked. The global first variable is a variable that is called when the first card is flipped. If the first condition is false, it will look up the click button and the first flip button in the card picks pair list, and if the click button and the first click button is equal, it will then play background music, set the score to +1, and then display the score. This is where the high score procedure will be called. And then you will add flip pairs to 1 and reset the global first variable to -1. It will then add the current click button and the first click button to a list called match. Else, if both of the conditions is not met, it will set the second flip card variable to the current click button, and it will iterate through a list called card, which contains all the card buttons, and it will enable all the buttons to false. And then it will set the clock time to true. If the global flip pairs variable is equal to 6, which is the number of pairs of pictures, then it will play a player and it will reset the game again from the start. When the wrong card is flipped, it needs a timer to determine how long it will take to flip it back down. So that is the use of clock one process. So in the process, there is a set button for both of the buttons that you click, the first flip button and the second flip button, and it will set the image back to the background image, which is cloud. And then they will iterate through a list called card, which contains all the card buttons, and it will determine the condition through if function. So if the cards that is clicked is not consist in the list match where the match paired cards are, then it will set the button to enable, and then it will exit the list, and then it will set the clock timer to false and set the first global variable back to -1. Finally, when the user click the done button at the bottom part of the interface, it will go through a set of if-else procedures to determine whether the current score is equals with the high score. If it's true, then the database will be called to store the current score with the tag high, and a notifier will display a string of congratulations, and then it will proceed to the next screen, which is high score. If the condition is false, it will go to the first screen, which is the home screen. Moving on to the last screen, which is the high score screen. This is where the player with the new high score will enter their name and will save their name in the database. So as you can see in the screen design, we have the label for score and a text box to enter the name, as well as a done button. For the code block, we have to initialize the high global variable to store a value with the tag high from the database. When the page initializes, it will set the high score label to the value in the high global variable. When the player enters the name and click the button done, a set of processes will be executed. A local variable will be initialized to receive the name from the text box and store the value of the name, and then it will go to the previous home screen.
Who wants to play video games?
Bingo!
Who wants to play video games?
Bingo!
Who wants to play video games?